We're live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. And it's kind of a glorious day here today. I don't know how everybody else's weather is right now, but it's got that little bit of August chill in the air already, which is so interesting, but also hot. I never know how that happens. But welcome. And today we are going to talk about, the kind of like the story we have in our heads about what does and doesn't work as parents of teenagers and just parents in general, and how it doesn't always match how our kids see the story. In fact, I think it often doesn't match. We think certain experiences maybe traumatize them and they may not remember them. And they tell you a story that traumatized them and you don't remember it. So there's just kind of this, it's like through our own lens, we just don't always ingest it the same way. So I'm going to start with my story today. And mine happened recently where a kid told one of my kids, not a kid, one of my kids told me, I think he and his husband have been talking about having kids and how they want to be as parents and what they don't want to do, which leads to looking at what your parents did. And one of the things was that we were going from the community pool, which is less than a mile from our house. We were driving home. I wish I could remember the ages of the kids, but I know they were old enough to not make this story as outrageous as my son thinks it is. So we're driving home. They are fighting in the car nonstop, fighting. And I'm like mostly irritated. I'll be honest. Most of it is that I'm over the top. I've spent the day with them at the pool, and I'm tired and I just don't want it. And no one will stop. They just won't stop. And so now I use the line, which wasn't entirely true, like, this is not safe for me to drive with the way you're behaving right now. And so if you can't stop, I'm pulling over. And they didn't, and one in particular. So I pulled over and I said, okay, walk home. Now, in my memory, there's no way they weren't like 8 years old, right? Like, I didn't do it to a 4-year-old. And in my son's mind, it traumatized him. Like, he thinks that was so horrible. Now, I know I did it at the end of my street. Like, it was like, a 5-minute walk at most, but none of that matters because his memory of this, it terrified him. Like that I could do that to one of my kids. Anyway, the list of things I thought they should go for therapy for and the things that they in fact need to go for are not the same. So I am going to pass it because I know Eka's going to outdo me in her entertainment. So Eka, your turn.
Okay, thanks, Sue. Okay, you know what? I took this assignment differently and I thought of something that I said that I didn't think was so horrible that to this day has completely scarred my daughter. And it is like the dumbest thing, but I mean, it's hers. So here's my story. So when she was in high school, or maybe, yeah, it was in high school, I went shopping and they had underwear on sale. So I bought all these underwear, I brought them home, and she said, I don't like this one pair. I said, okay, I'll donate it because they don't take underwear back, right? So I had it sitting on the counter because I'm going to take it downstairs, and her friend came over. So I said to her friend, this is so silly. I said to her friend, hey, Penny, I have these underwear that my daughter doesn't want. Do you want them? And my daughter was like, I cannot believe you're giving my friend underwear. And I was like, it's not used. It's got the labels on it. To this day, every time I bring up, like every time like this girl's name comes up, she shakes her head like, I cannot believe that you gave my friend underwear. Like, it's like, and then she even like called her sister and she said, you would not believe what mom did. She gave her underwear. And I was like, so this is like so weird to me. And then all of a sudden I'll like try to bring it up and she's like, Mom, you can't even talk about that with me because I have been scarred for life because of that. So this is the thing is I don't get. It seems like I've done some much worse things, but this is the thing that she hangs on to. And I mean, her friend she's like, these are like the greatest underwear. Where'd you get them? I'm going to ask my mom to buy me some more. So that's my weird story because I just can't believe the things like you said, Sue, that stick in their minds that they play over and over again that don't seem that important. But anyway,
that's but you could never prevent yourself from doing it because it was so benign to you, innocuous, like nothing. And how would you know next time not to do it? So you can't.
Right. And I mean, what girl wouldn't want a really cute pair of like boy shorts? Like they were adorable. It wasn't like I was giving her some like sexy little thong or something. And they were like a pair of boy shorts. So that's the thing. So every now and then I'll bring it up just to kind of remind myself that, yeah, it still bothers her. So anyway, I'm going to send this down to Mindy.
Did you say Mindy? Did you say? I was a little worried, distracted by my computer, because we all know I kind of blew the charger up last time. Sorry, I was distracted there for a moment, but sorry. Okay, so thanks, Eka. My story is a little bit similar to Eka's than Sue's, I think. My middle son, and of course, one of his brothers is close by, so I trust they're not listening. But my middle son was that typical middle child where when he would get hurt or, it was like, oh, I broke my back, or, oh, the drama. So one day they're out playing, it was a weekend, they're out playing street hockey in the road or driveway. And he comes in, oh, I broke my wrist. I think I broke my, here we go again. I said, Brendan, you didn't, you're fine. No, really. So my husband says, no, he'll be fine. So he'll be fine. No. So, okay, off they go. I said, you're going to get halfway to the hospital. Good. Call his bluff. You're going to get halfway to the hospital and turn around, because Brendan's going to say, well, maybe it's not. Or you go all the way. And the doctor's going to look at you and say, it's fine. It's a bruise. So off they go. And I wait and I wait and I wait. My son comes home with a humongous cast in a sling. Sure enough, yes, in fact, he badly broke his wrist. I don't know if it's to this day, because that was a number of years ago. He was in elementary school. For years, Mom doesn't believe me. Remember that time you thought I didn't break my wrist? Remember that time? So that is something that clearly, to me, it was a lesson of don't cry wolf, because people aren't going to believe you, right? He took it as the one time something happened. His mother didn't believe him, didn't trust in him. So years and years. I hope at this point he believes I trust him. But anyway, that's my story. It sticks with me to this day. So there you go. I don't know. Believe your kids, I suppose.
Mindy, I want to say, by a show of hands, how many of you have not believed a kid who actually had something?
How about when you leave them with the babysitter and they throw up 30 minutes after you leave? Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Well, thank you for the support, ladies. That's why I'm here, for the support. Thank you. So go ahead, Jen. It sounds like Sharon, rather. It sounds like you have a story.
Oh, it's more of a pattern, because I do things that upset my children that totally shock me. It's kind of like Eka. Like, I have no idea what's gonna get a bad reaction sometimes. It's like, I thought, I'm socially adept enough. I make mistakes like everybody, but truly, I cannot imagine why children are upset sometimes. I have one who gets really upset when I change like the furniture or stuff like that in the house. I'm like, what? It's my house. I get to decide. And she's just appalled at some of the decisions that we've made in the house. I can't believe you got this rug. I mean, I'm like, you know what? That's not your choice. But one that the child actually decided that this is many years ago. One of my teenagers was in preschool, and the preschool building had this rummage sale where it was like all this junk that we didn't need. But, you're supposed to let your kids spend money and, learn how to make purchases. So she saw this princess carriage that was like yay big. It was huge. That cost $0.25 or 50 cents. So this was perfect in her mind. This is exactly what she needed. She got her quarter. She bought the princess carriage. She played with it for 6 or 9 months. I don't know. Then the princess carriage got forgotten. You know how those toys, they were so exciting at first. So I thought, this giant thing, it's just taking up so much space. He just have to get rid of some of the toys. I thought, well, she bought it. I'm going to just put it up in a high closet for a while and see if she misses it. So 6 months, it was hidden away. Then I got rid of it. Didn't say a word. 6 months after that, she says, "Where's my princess carriage?" And I told her, "Oh, I donated that a while ago because you hadn't been playing with it for a year." And she to this day, as a teenager, she's, I can't believe you got rid of my princess carriage. That was my money. So I have not yet been forgiven for donating the princess carriage that she bought with her quarter. And I don't know if I could ever come back from that. So Jody, tell us, make me feel better. Tell us what way you screwed up your kids.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I like, it's funny because before I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. And now as this conversation has started, I don't know what not to say. There's just so many. But Mindy broke an elbow, walked around for a week without one. Sharon, I had this great idea that my kids had everything. So instead, for their birthday parties, we always said, no gifts, please bring a donation for the local rescue village. My daughter is still complaining about it because since she's the youngest, she feels like she really got shorted, and etc. But, on a serious note, I think the hardest thing, or probably the most drama and therapy that I will have inflicted on my kids, is this really fine line between trying to figure out how to be supportive and honest. And I'm not sure if you can be both of those things at the same time, questions that you just can't answer without causing pain, and I never know what to answer, and I feel like I answer the wrong thing, and it leads to a lot of really uncomfortable feelings and conversations, and not being able to hear each other. Does this look good? Do you think this or whatever? So it's very hard, and I think now at this point my kids are all kind of a little older, but I still I feel gun shy about whether I want to answer a question or say something because I'm worried about the fallout, or so I don't have any answers to that. And I might feel like, well, I think this would be better, but I don't want to say it because then I don't want to go down this path where somebody's going to get upset with me and think that I'm criticizing their whole being and everything else. So it's been a very slippery slope. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. A little vague, but protecting the parties a little bit here. So, all right. Kamaya, how about you?
Okay. So I'm with you. Now that everyone's talking, I've completely changed what I'm going to say. First, I want to say ditto to all of those stories. I find it fascinating. So you try to be supportive, and the one time that you think you're going to give some kind of constructive criticism, that's, what's scarring. I have a really intense memory of when the Roots reboot came on TV, when they redid that series Roots. Our son had been really into US history, and he had really been into Black history. This was our youngest at the time. And I sat down to watch it with him. And I don't know if anybody has seen it, but the beginning of it is beautiful. They're showing the scenes in Africa, and it's really, really beautiful. And then they get to the passage, and it's brutal. But by then you're wrapped up in the story and you're watching it. We're sitting side by side on the couch, the two of us. And then I look over at him because he's silent, and he's in the fetal position on the couch in silent tears, just running, soaking the couch. And I'm like, I have ruined my child. Usually I preview things like that, but that one time that I didn't preview it, I had to stop it, and he's all scarred. To this day, he doesn't really remember. But a couple of months ago, he brings up to me something that was terribly scarring. And he's like, do you remember when the kid is 17 now. Do you remember when I was 6 years old and you and Poppy had an argument about such and such? And I'm thinking, what? First, there have been a lot of arguments since then. I don't remember that one, but apparently that has stuck with him, and it has shaped the way he views life and marriage and relationships and everything. Not the fact that the argument was over and we've been married for 11 years since that particular argument, but that argument has scarred him, and it's going to shape everything in his life going forward. but not that horrible scene in the movie. That he's cool with. And I think we have Jessica next, right?
I believe so. I'm trying to decide if I even have a story of my own, because the only one I can think of is that, me being the only girl, everything was color coded in my house, which meant I was pink. And oh boy, I did not enjoy getting all the pink stuff. I'm like, all right, I want a Nintendo DS, and I get a pink Nintendo DS, and my toothbrush was pink. And like, I like pink now, but at the time I hated it. But I don't know if that's enough of a story. But we also have a comment that I think I could share rather than anything substantive of my own. So it was Christy Custer. My daughter wants to do everything her friends get to do, and I am a nurse, so I see the stuff that happens to kids who just go out for a good time, and so I try to explain why I don't let her do certain things. One of the arguments, we were both really upset. She wanted to do things with her friends that I wasn't quite comfortable with, and she yelled, "You don't care if I'm happy," and I yelled back, "I don't care if you're happy as long as you're alive," and she still thinks I don't care if she's happy. It cuts off at the end, so I don't know what the if there's anything after that. I could try to find it on our actual page, but that's a
All right. Well, Christy, your example, I think, falls quite in line with everything we're talking about here, which is that we don't get enough time to go, but no, that's not what I meant. And I think all of this is about that. Like, I have this feeling, I don't know if this is universal, but when someone when I'm driving and someone gives me the finger and I have no idea, or they honk really loudly, and I have absolutely no idea what I just did to contribute to that much anger in the world. And I want to chase that car and go, what did I do? I didn't do anything. It's not fair. Anyway, that's my middle child. It's not fair. I'm a middle child. Anyway, so I think what we're all seeing here is that despite our very best efforts, we don't know how they fall upon someone else. And our kids are free to tell us that it didn't go the way we'd hoped. And Eka has one more thing to add. Yay, Eka.
Well, I want to say that, and the other thing is also looking back on things, it's almost like everybody misremembers how it actually went down. So you can understand, if this is just happening with your own family and everyone's got a different version of the same story, then it really helps you understand how there can be so much conflict in the world if this is just happening like in your own family. Because sometimes when we look at stories, like we'll tell a story that happened and we're like, wait, that's not the way I remember it, So I think the misremembering can leave scars that maybe we didn't even think about because that's not the way we remember it too. That's another, I think, aspect of this topic.
And
I love that.
Just on the universality of this topic, my college roommates were in this weekend, and we were just probably yesterday morning sitting on the deck and talking about how we figured we messed up our kids. Like, I must have done this, or, oh, I shouldn't have done this, or so just this exact same topic. So clearly, I think every mom has those moments when we look back and think, I shouldn't have, I can't believe I did. Our kids weren't around to share their side. But I just want to say, I think it's really universal, and we have all those feelings of traumatizing our children at some point.
So the moral of the story is all we can do is our best. That's it. We cannot predict how it's going to be received on the other side. So to all of us continuing to do our best, thanks so much for being here, and we will see you next week.